Second episode of Saga of Eagles and Wolves. In this episode, we're going to talk about weapons. Specifically, my favorite weapon of that time frame, the bearded axe. Now, the bearded axe wasn't just a weapon. It was used as a tool to cut trees so that you could build an improvised shelter, your permanent shelter, to build pens for your livestock, chop holes in ice so that you could get water for you and your livestock, and to cut firewood so that you wouldn't freeze. This tool was essential to survive in Northern Europe in that harsh environment. But when it come time for war, the Germanian people had two staples in their arsenal: the spear and the bearded axe. The bearded axe, by its design and the way it was made warfare devastating on the Romans. Now, here's some examples of the bearded axes, different heads. This one's a smaller tomahawk type of axe. This one, you'll note, has a much more open face, a little square on the top, but it's got a nice curve on the beard. This one here, I'm just gonna point out that the handle has some fancy wrapping on it, which was something that was done not just with leather and rawhide, but sometimes to carve it. Done so that in the hand of the warrior, he knew where the face of the axe was pointing without having to look at his weapon. He knew where the weapon was in his hand. He knew it was either right underneath the head, halfway down told by the braid in the fingers, or at the end, ready for a full-on swing. We'll now talk about the head of the bearded axe. How it got its name was this part, the beard. It also, most of them had a pointed spear-like tip. It has a long, round cutting edge, which increases its cutting surface. That was important when it come time for war. The way they would use this, what made this weapon so lethal, was it was not only a mid-range weapon, but also very good for close-up and personal battle, which the Germanian people absolutely lived for. They wanted to be right on their enemy when they took them to Valhalla. So this weapon allowed them to do that, and this is how they would use it. We always envision this weapon being swung like we're chopping down a tree, either with two hands or with one. Often the way it was used with the blade in your hand right at the top of the head of the axe. Now you look at this, I just formed a fist with this sharp edge leading, almost like a sharpened set of brass knuckles. Now when I punch, I'm cutting. I'm doing damage. I'm inflicting pain. I'm causing loss of blood. I'm cutting skin. I'm cutting muscle. I'm doing damage to bone. I can break a collarbone. I can blind. That's just by using this edge. Using the spear point, I can stab. I can drive it in. Using the beard itself, I can use that like a knife. Compared to a knife, here's a knife and the beard of the axe. I can overlap the two. Cutting edge for cutting edge. In fact, my axe has more of a cutting surface than this knife. Now, if I were to slash with this knife, like so, it would be effective. But if you take a look, it doesn't really protect my arm all that much. My knuckles are exposed. If I catch an edged weapon across my knuckles, I'm going to lose my weapon. With the bearded axe, my knuckles are protected by the blade. My forearm is protected by the shaft. I have limited protection, but it's better than nothing. And I can still have the versatility of slashing. I can use the handle into my opponent. This worked especially well. This weapon worked very well against the Romans because what this weapon could do was strip shields. It denied the Romans the protection of their shields. And if you could pull the shields away, you could defeat the tortoise. And that was the advantage that the Romans had. They could go into battle in a large formed group and use the tortoise to do damage to the enemy with protection. The bearded axe denied him of that. And the way the Germanians would do this was either working as an individual or as a pair. If you're working as a pair, you have a warrior behind you, using the beard of the axe. The man in the front is going to hook the shield, and he's going to pull it out of the way. The guy behind him, the warrior behind him, is going to come over top, and he's going to stab with the spear, or he's going to come down with his own axe. Meanwhile, the warrior in the front is pushing that shield out of the way and pushing him into the soldier, Roman soldier next to him. If he's doing it as an individual, if he doesn't have anybody behind him or doesn't know that he has anybody behind him, he's going to pull that shield out of the way and he's going to use that spear tip to attack, or he's going to come around and he's going to hook with the beard wherever he can get it, or come in and cut. Get in, he's removed this man, the guys behind him come in, and the tortoise has been breached. All because of this little simple weapon. And when they're done, they're going to cut firewood with it and sit around and sing songs. So, if you want to hear a good, entertaining version of battle done with the bearded axe, check out The Saga of Eagles and Wolves, The Defenders of Dolphin. It's available on Amazon, Rakuten Kobo, Chapters Indigo, Barnes & Noble, in both paperback and Kindle format. Thanks for watching. Give us a subscribe, give us a like, feel free to share. Thank you.